Okay, I think we are live. Let's check on the phone. Yep, sweet. Okay, need to build a test harness for those. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start prepping to make some test harnesses live. Did a podcast a few weeks ago, and if you hear AC running, I'm actually at home today. So, did a podcast about a few weeks ago, and people were interested on how we make our test stuff. So I figured, well, I got to make one this weekend. Let's just do it. So, getting everything out so we can get ready to do this. It'll probably just be me talking to myself, but that is perfectly fine. Okay, so if you don't know, this is our, this one specifically is our 87 to 89 plug and play dash setup for the Fox bodies. I'm going to be making test harnesses today for 87 to 89 through 90 to 93 with one test whip. I'll show how we do that, along with maybe do some coding depending on how long this takes. So throw that there. I'm just getting stuff open right now because I went ahead and pre-ordered a lot of this stuff. If the noise is loud, I do apologize. I'll have to go back and watch this in the future. You can actually see the live stream right there. Okay. Yep. Terminals. We got connectors. And what we're needing to replicate in this, just connect these, is these two plugs for here. So okay, last piece. Those are wrong. I need this. Those up there, they're the wrong ones. It happens. These are keyed. So the inside of these are keyed. Can't really see it, but one has a single prong, dual prong, dual, single. So not a huge issue because, I think anybody can figure it out. Blue to blue. Black to black. And the idea here really is just to be able to test these harnesses. So not too concerned about that. Just need to order a few of those or go through my handy dandy drawer over here. See if I have any spares. These are Amphenol connectors, but they basically the same thing as a Deutsch connector. So Okay. And hey, OG, can you validate that my audio is okay? It's You're the first one to jump on, and I haven't had a chance to do a sound check yet. Okay. This way. Sweet. Thanks, OG. I'm not going to be a whole lot on camera other than seeing my magical hands running around like crazy. Oh, look at that. Someone else is on. Thank you. All right. So, just to kick it off so you guys know, because I know there's a couple of you on here now, I'm making test harnesses for this. I was on a podcast a few weeks ago, and people were kind of interested in this, and I figured, why not do this? I got to make it anyways, so I can just put a camera up, say hi, build some. Okay, so let me get my test equipment. And when I talk about test equipment, it is this guy. So we made him a few years ago when we started doing harnesses, especially the newer generation harness. And we can test pretty much every harness we make with this guy today. So this is what we'll be working on. So while we do that, we'll go ahead and get it plugged in. And this is just a regular Raspberry Pi. You'll see it boot up in a moment, as long as it doesn't freak out. Yeah, see, booting up. So basically, we're going to build something like this. So this we use to test this little test harness is used to test. Let's see if I have one down here. I should. Since this is Fox Body specific, let's do the Fox Body stuff. Let's grab a Fox Body harness. I'm at home, so my pickings are slim on test stuff. Right here. Like, for example, you're right, OG. This harness here is for the plug-and-play stuff for the 87 to 93 cars. But yeah, so basically how our test whip works is we can plug the harness in like that. We have a TFI connector, and then an ignition connector. These are for other purposes. So like if we have a 94, 95, we plug it in. And then this thing's still booting up. But once it's booted up, I'd be able to click the button. It would do all its electrical tests. I'd put a serial number in, and it would log it with the system. Pass, fail. So we're going to recreate something like that today for the plug-and-play dash stuff. So I'm going to throw that back over there for now. I do apologize if it's loud. My AC is running. It is 105 outside right now, and that is dumb. Okay, so make a game plan here. 6 and 6 is 12, plus 2 cans. Have most of the can stuff right here. All the other connectors are right there. So now I just need to get some more. So lucky for me, I have plenty of scrap. So able to step away from the camera, but you guys will be able to hear me. I'm going over to my wire cutting machine. We'll program it in a minute to cut me some wire. Maybe. My laptop is dead. No! I get to run all over my basement tonight. Okay. No big deal. Comment. Give me a minute and I'll take a peek. Come on, power on. While that laptop's doing its thing, let's go see what the comments were. Can it be used with an aftermarket dash wiring harness? In theory, OG, yes. As long as the aftermarket dash wiring harness works with, say, your factory gauge cluster from an 87 to 93. I know there's some slight differences. Like, example, this is 87 to 89. As long as that dash harness works on a factory cluster, and you know what year, you would just buy the proper year harness to match that. And then, yeah, it would plug in and work just fine. So, appreciate the question. Now I just got to try to get my laptop turned on so I can build. There we go. It's coming back up. Get this thing powered up. That sound there was our wire cutting machine that we have here at home. Okay, cool. Okay. Sorry, guys. This is going to be unedited live because I'm just doing exactly that. Just trying to get something built. And this is the process I go through every time. So this will be boring, so I don't expect people to really hang out a whole lot, but I will check chat from time to time. Okay, so I'm just going to make this 540. Okay. So right now I need to cut a bunch of wire, a bunch of 20 gauge. It doesn't have to do anything. I could technically do this with 22 gauge wire, but the smaller the wire, the more it kind of becomes better to handle with crimping and all the fun stuff. So the machine I have will take the wire. I can set a length, and it will pre-cut. It will. See if I can do this. Get the ends tipped, so all I have to do is just pop them off. So I just need to cut a bunch more. So I'm thinking I'm going to need, let's see here, 6 connections. So that's 12 plus another 8. So I'm going to need 20, plus I'm going to need 20 on top of how many I'm building. So, for example, like right now, I'm going to probably build 2 of these, so I'm going to need 40 wires. So we'll run a bunch of this through real quick. I'll even check the comments. But this will, once I get this part done, which is boring, I can start making the harness. Okay. I don't really want to move the camera around a whole lot, guys, so sorry. You're kind of like, I want to see the wire cutter. Maybe in another video. I have it just doing single runs. All these wires are kind of short. So that's fine. And it doesn't matter, we can use all the same color. So that's why the scrap wire comes in handy. The scrap wire actually comes from the work we do on like Anderson Ford Motorsports. We take the IAC wiring in their 937F kit and go through, fix the wiring for the IAC. And this is the leftover wire that shouldn't be there because it's wired wrong in the factory in the Holly harness. So we yank out this wire because it's no longer needed, and then we put it in a trash bin. But we don't throw it away because I like to reuse any wire I can for stuff like this because it cuts down on costs for folks, and more we can save here, more we save you guys. Again, I apologize. This is going to be boring at this point. Probably boring when I crimp some wires, but once I get to that point, I can walk through and explain exactly how this works. The nice thing about that wire cutter is as it goes through, it also straightens. That's a bundle of 10. Cool. Harnesses up. What did OG say? We try, OG. We really do. I really enjoy trying to make things simple, but yet effective. I also like when we design our products, I like to make them so this way they are truly what I would call plug and play. If you have to do anything more than a couple pieces of wire yourself, I don't consider it plug and play. People may disagree with me on that, and that's okay. But that's just kind of how we look at it. So, like when we say our EFI plug and play is plug and play, it really is because from our part, it's zero wiring. You remove the factory ECU, plug in our EFI adapter, plug in our 2 harnesses, our main and our sub, and that is it. You plug in the connections into the appropriate sensors, and you're done. The only wiring that we do with our EFI plug and play stuff is the battery, Holly's main power harness for the ECU, directly into the battery. And my thought process on that is if you can't figure out how to plug a red wire on the positive side of the battery and a black wire on the negative side of the battery, you may not be ready to do a Holley install. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's 5. Again, sorry this is boring. But so is our products sometimes, because we take and make life easy for folks just to be able to plug stuff in and go. I wish it didn't beep every time. It's annoying. Now, our plug and play dash, and I'm not looking at comments right now because I'm over at my wiring machine. So once I get back, I'll take a peek at those. But our plug and play dash is fully plug and play. There's zero wiring. And when I get back over to my desk with the harness, we'll go over it real quick. For those that are not familiar, or those who may stumble across this video and made it this far, proud of you. We'll go over how that harness really works. So another 5, 5. Okay, that's another round of 10. So that's enough to do one harness. And I'm just doing it on 20 gauge. There's no need to, do this in smallers or anything like that. Will make doing the can a little bit more difficult to do, but that is not an end of the world problem. So. All right, I just need, I got some wire already over here cut, so I need about 18, 19 more. And I can sit down over there with the laptop and start building this thing. And I'm not sure how loud this machine's coming across on my microphone, but if it's loud, I do apologize. And most of these scrap pieces are all about 3.5 feet. So that's why I just can't do like a continuous run. I could throw a big reel of 1,000-foot wire on here and do it, but then I'm wasting good wire. And I don't like to waste stuff. I keep coming back every time I do 5, so this way I can check comments. Appreciate it, OG. You're awesome, by the way. And did you get your ACT, IAT extension harness? I know it's shipped out. I just don't know. I haven't checked deliveries. I do like to check in on those. But this weekend has been busy, so I haven't been able to get caught up on that. Ow. Someone threw a piece of wire in here that they were using for testing on something. And that somebody would be me, because I'm not home. I'm not at the shop. So the only person I can blame is Gage at the shop. And I know he doesn't watch this, so he'll never know I throw him under the bus. Eventually, one time, when we have some customer cars out of the shop, I may do a walk through the shop. But because we have customer stuff there, we don't do any filming at the shop. We're limited. And everything started here at home. So I kind of like doing a lot of my stuff here. Awesome. Let me know when you get your extension installed, buddy. Oops. I pulled the tip off. Oh well. Okay. Another round of 10. One more round. And I can get to the fun part. Yeah, those so those ACT IAT extensions, OG, um, I used to make those, man, I don't know, early 2000s through probably 2010 before I moved the first time. And I would sell them at the track because it was a big thing back in the day. Because if you had most people didn't have standalones. Most people were running either a tweaker. Um, Quarter horse was around. It wasn't as popular back then. It did get popular shortly after, sometime about mid 2000s, closer to 2010. So it was one of the things that we would do those harnesses even on stock ECUs on power adder cars, and they would pick up a couple tenths in a quarter mile. So the fad on that kind of died off. I hate calling it a fad, but kind of what happens sometimes in this community or this the automotive world is something new comes out, everybody wants it, and but this one actually does have potential to do some good. So here's 5. Oh, I see you made a comment. I'll look at it here in a second. I want to get these final 5 done. This one's short, but I should be able to get one out of it. All right, I was able to get one. It's like doing surgery. Run this wire through this machine. Get one on. I need one more wire. Sorry guys, I'm paused just because this thing's a little loud. So we call our wire cutting machine Edward Scissorhands, if anybody's curious. Yes, got it. Yep, I'm coming up on 2 years running. Oh, hey, appreciate that. Had to send it back to you once, which was due to a mistake on my end, but no problems. Great, good to hear. A lot of we're human, so obviously there's going to be problems with stuff. Or we do everything we can to test. Obviously, that's what we're getting ready to do here. But I take quality control very seriously. So, uh-oh. on terminals. So lucky for me, I have more over here. Get my tools. Yes, I did spend the money to have the official TE crimps, TE terminals. As I said in the beginning of this video, which you may not have seen, we're going to use Amphenol cables. That's what these are, connectors. That's what these are. But if you look at it, so this is Amphenol. But if I come over here, I grab this guy. Oh, that's a DTM. Sorry. So this is a Deutsch Amphenol. They're the same. They actually use a lot of the same components. So like these are what's called a open barrel crimp. Okay. I only use open barrel on non-heavy duty stuff. So like this plug and play dash, it's going to be a crimp like this. But when it comes down to some of the motorsport stuff we do, we will use something like this, which is called a closed barrel. And it requires a different style crimper. If you guys want to get into that stuff eventually, let me know. We can get into that eventually and go through what the difference is of each and why you would use one over the other. So, and you can do closed barrels for fairly inexpensive. I do like these. This is a Tool Aid is the brand. And it really makes crimping, once you do a few this way, it makes it really hard to go back to using something kind of antique-ish like this. And I hate calling it an antique, but it kind of is when you really start getting into this stuff. Okay, so trying to get prepped. Some scissors. I should not need wire strippers because all of these are pre-capped. The machine does it for you. And the only other thing I need is some wire sleeving. So mesh wire sleeve. Just gotta find one in my inventory over here. That would work for this. Yeah, I got some stuff. Cool. Okay, well, let's get to the hard part. What we got here? Yep, you can see my hat in the video. Yep. Oh, Gen 9 C500. Yeah, so that will do it. If you have a weak battery and say you try jumping it or you just try starting it, you'll lose the tune. But at the same time, Holly's very sensitive with low voltage stuff. So you really have to watch that stuff. I like to keep my cars on tenders over the winter months when I don't drive. But during like the summer months, if I don't drive it enough, like right now, I haven't driven the green Mustang or our test mule probably in 4 weeks. Not that I can't or don't want to. It's 100. Like today, it was 105 when I was out. Love my car, but when it's 105 and there's no heat shielding underneath that car, I might as well just be a rotisserie chicken. So it doesn't really make a lot of sense to drive it right now, except for cool days. So, okay. So the game plan here is to take all this freshly cut wire, crimp it. So if you look at our machine here, these will mimic some of the Holley stuff. And I know you can't really see it great in the video, but this would be J1A, J1B, and J4. The Holley cable for the Pro Dash uses the same connector as the Terminator X's and the Dominator's J1A. So we'll be able to plug this in to our tester on J1A, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a test whip to plug into J4, and then I can program inside this guy what pins are connected to what, test the continuity, test voltages, do all our testing, and give it a pass-fail. So, that would be cool. What are your thoughts on butt connectors versus soldering? Oof. That can be a discussion in itself, OG. Personal preference is soldering should never be done on an engine bay harness. The reason being is, and I can kind of show you real quick if you want to see it, because I have a soldering station right next to me I can hook up. But when you solder a joint, let me just grab a wire here. And I want to grab a couple demonstration pieces. I'm like a squirrel, guys. If you get me onto another subject, I will run. Just be forewarned. Okay, so I'll bring these up to the view here in a second. So here's a piece of junk wire. And let's say we have this thing break. And we, Caleb, Foxcast Media, love you, buddy. I know you did some splicing on your ACT extension. I don't recall if you soldered it or not, but I'm going to use you as an example. So you got your harness. Yeah, it's broken. We're going to solder it. It may not be broken. Maybe you cut it because you're extending it. You don't know. So let me come in here, take this wire, and I kind of want to just show the reason why I prefer this. And let's say you decide to solder with these two together. Okay, it's not super hard to do. Many people have done it. But what'll happen is bear with me. I need something so I can point. I have just a tool for that. It's in my office. Where did you go? There we go. Okay. So what will happen is the solder will float underneath this jacket on both sides. And what will eventually happen is, due to vibrations in the engine bay, these wires actually become weak and they will eventually just snap. So if you've ever dealt with something where you have like a intermittent connection issue, it's usually this from being soldered. Now, and if you want to, after a bit, I can solder those two up and demonstrate it. But what I like to do, if I have to and I got to splice, these are nice. These are actually called a step down. So this side is like 20 gauge, and this side's like 18 or 16. These work great. You can get them in 20 and 20, or 18 and 18, whatever sizes you're doing. You can get them in the same size. These work great. You could throw a piece of heat shrink tubing over it that's got an epoxy or a glue in it to help seal it. This would be step one. This would be the first step I'd recommend. Um, for video, this will make more sense to pull one of these out. Is a little open barrel splice like this. Let's see if I can get that to. These work really well, where you would put the wire in on both sides. This is probably going to fail on video because I'm trying to do this one-handed, but you'll get the idea. You know, both wires will sit inside there. You crimp it, and again, heat shrink over top of it with the glue. What the heat shrink will do when you put it over top of it and you have your splice is it will actually give it some stress relief and prevent this part from the part that we're working on become the weak link. It'll get rid of that. If you're doing multiple wires, let's take the ACT extension harness, for example, and you weren't going to buy the extension. You were just going to do it yourself. Instead of splicing, what I would recommend is something like this. Is cut the factory connector off about 4 inches back, keep it, and get, well, I'm a dummy, grabbed 2 of the same connectors, so that does us absolutely no good for demonstration. But get a Deutsch connector. These are actually fairly inexpensive. People think they're super expensive, but they're not. You could then pin, the factory 2 original wires that you just cut the connector off of here. Add your extension harness into this, and then what happens is now you have a solid mating surface. So this way, there's going to be no stressing here, no binding, no real opportunities for damage to the wire. This would be what I would do if I was doing 2, 3, 4, or more. If I'm just doing a single, these little splices, open barrels, they come in all sizes, is what I would go with. Hopefully that answers your question. Okay, get these splices put over here. Okay, demonstration. So first up, I'm going to terminate 20 wires with the holly pins. So this way we can start the process. And the way this will work is inside this box is every pin has its own address that the Raspberry Pi itself can see. So once I get this all built, we'll go through and do the programming saying, okay, hey, pin 1 on this J4 connector is going to be testing pin X on this harness, and so on and so forth. I need to text somebody quick. Okay, so, hopefully that was helpful. Okay, so the wire machine, if you're not familiar, it will do what I call nubs, and it pre-nubs everything to the exact length I need them to be on each end. So it's programmed. That's why I had to go get I got to use the other laptop, so I can go in and grab a file, a design file for the wire. And then this thing works pretty easy. It's ratcheting, and it does these open barrel. So far away. I'm an idiot. So there's these open barrels. I'll get one preset. Some people don't like these. I don't mind them. So pre-stage it. Install the wire. Perfectly crimped. And then you get a really nice, perfect crimp almost every time. So I get to do this a bunch more times. And I like to give them just a little bit of a finger twist so they fit in the machine slightly better. Now, when we do production harnesses, we actually have a press with an applicator that does all these automatically. So we don't use any real hand tools. But because, I'm at home and we're doing this on video, we're going old school. So bear with me. This will be a little slower. And that machine, I could use it because I have one here, an older one. It's louder than the wire cutter. So it would just be obnoxious, and I don't want to do that to you guys. So, and this actually won't take that long. Anybody else have any questions while I'm sitting here crimping away? I can ask away. It could be on this. It could be on any of our products. It can be how hot is it outside. It's hotter than Satan's balls. Yeah, you pick the topic, and I will do my best to answer them. Because if it gets too quiet, I hate to do it, but I may sing. And I will tell you right now, I am deaf-toned, so I cannot sing with a damn. Okay, here's the topic, since I know there's always a little bit of a lag between YouTube chat and stuff. And I know there's only a handful of you in here. Are any of you going to Motor City Fox Fest? If you are, swing by our booth. We will be there this year. It worked out perfect for us this year. Typically, we just go to Ford Takeover. Love Caleb's event. Highly recommended if you can get to it to go there. But this year, I'm going to be up in Ohio that week of Motor City Fox Fest. And I'm only, from my hometown, about 2 hours from the event. So I decided, since I'm already going to be up that way, it makes a lot of sense for me just to pack up everything. I reached out to Tom Clark, who runs the event. I'm assuming he runs the event because he's the one I talk to 99% of the time. And he was able to set us up. They were awesome about it. I appreciated it a lot. So, first 10. So, the next thing I want to ask, while I wait to see if any of you guys are gone or not, is I know one gentleman in here, one person, is running our plug and play. But, OG, catch me up. I know you have a YouTube channel, and I apologize. I don't follow it. I will fix that soon. It's funny enough, I don't do a whole lot of YouTube, but I do try to follow and subscribe to folks that are customers, because it's hard to get a start. But remind me, are you on a standalone? Are you running a Holly, or are you still on a stock ECU? And if you're on a Holly, did you buy the kit from Anderson, or did you buy it directly out of Holly or LMR? And I'm not going to dig on you anyway. I'm just kind of curious. Um, if I was really smart when I started this, I should have asked someone like Donnie B, or maybe Nakia, or Brutal, Caleb or Foxcaster, just someone to see if they wanted to jump in. We could have done a kind of like a video call, or had a guest on, podcast style. But this was spur of the moment. I knew I had to get these done, and people have asked for this, so I'm like, I'm just going to go ahead and do it. I'm not going to make it this year. Next year should be able to. Okay, well, that's fine. I mean, I get it. Getting to all the events is pretty tough. I would like to make it to more events for the business. But the problem I have is, if we take a weekend off, let's take Ford Takeover, for example. We usually go down on Thursday. We don't get back until Sunday afternoon. Those 2 to 3 days that we're gone usually backs us up by about a week. So it's kind of hard on us. And eventually, once we get more hands, we'll look at trying to do more events and not close down the shop every time we go to an event. But that's a future plan for 2027. I'm going to be running Holly Trimaker. Sweet. Okay. So, run a Holly Trimaker X and the 12.3 Pro Dash. I got it from Donnie B. over at Anderson Ford. Well, that's awesome. So you have one of the upgraded harnesses we do for him. So since you have it, you're probably already aware, but we do quite a bit. Yep, exactly. So for people that may end up watching this later, we do the Anderson kit. We do their special 937F kit. It's basically a Holly kit out of the box when they get it. We go through and we, let's see this way to say it. We go through and validate that they're penned properly. So we test them. We go through and we fix the idle air control valve wiring because it works, but it's not perfect. And then at that point, while we have them, we throw either a Fox body 86 to 93 TPS on them or a 94, 95. It really just depends on what they have, and then we'd throw on the factory Ford coolant temp sensor, ACT, which Holly calls MAT. We throw those Ford connections on and get them ready. Everything goes Ford style connectors, because some of those connectors are actually discontinued, but Ford has made it so certain places can still reproduce them. So we're not using, the ones we get are not what I would say aftermarket-ish. They're built off the original stamps, the original molds. So a little bit higher quality, a little bit more expensive, but in the end, they're really worth it. And yeah, the Gen 3 kit. So their Gen 3 kit comes with the stepper IAC. That was something Donnie reached out to us and was like, hey, yeah, stock 2-wire IACs work. A lot of people can tune them, but some of these people are just still having issues. Can we add the stepper IAC to it? And we did. Um, we didn't run it through the harness all the way through. We left it kind of standalone for those who just may not want it. So this way they can curl it up and throw it up underneath the dash. Um, and then if you need it, it's there. And if you don't, well, it's always tucked away and you can have it for later. So, but yeah, Donnie's loves his customers, man. You know, he's always listening to them, listening to their ideas, listening to their feedback. Always trying to produce stuff for the community. Um, I've worked with him on a few things. Um, I won't take any real credit for them, but like he reproduced the 9495 TFI module heatsink. We started working with a company on it, and then I sat down with them and said, "Hey, we can do this, but it really doesn't make a lot of sense for us to do this because not a whole lot of people are going to come to us for just this part. But if you can build a kit with the TFI module, because he works for a Ford dealership, you could kit this, and it would be better." So we just handed off all of our stuff to him. We just gave it to him, no cost, and said, "Here, go." And my only request, was, let's just make sure it's, as close as possible to the original. So, okay, so still crimping. Last round. Okay, I have a 90 GT called Black Widow. I have my dash out and the harness out. My plan is to take out what I don't need and rewrap it. Okay, so OG Superfly, yes. So to answer your question for the wiring schematics, they are free and available online. And what I recommend is to go look at a website called Charm. CHARM. I'm going to repeat that. Charlie, Henry, Apple, Randy, Michael. .li. Lima Indigo. Charm.li. It is a free website that has all service manuals from, I want to say, somewhere in the 70s up until like 2005 or 2013. And then they spun off another website, and it's on there. So if you go to charm.li, it'll give you the link to the other website that has all the service manuals up to 2025. They are not, like your Haynes manuals or anything like that. They are legitimate Ford or vendor-based electrical diagrams, and they are very well laid out. But what's also cool is most of them have the repair documents too. So, like, if you wanted to repair, say, your T5 out of your 90 GT, if it still has it, it will go through step by step on how to rebuild it. So that website is a godsend. It's got all the information you would ever need, and it would have all the wiring schematics that you would need for what you're doing. I have them as well. So, like, if you need them, I have a website as well that is a virtual desktop that lets you access the software to get into it. Just let me know, but I've been sending a lot of people over to charm.li because it just works great. Is there any wiring? Okay, so I answered that question. Almost got this phase of the wiring crimping done. I'm really missing my machine right now. It's so much quicker. I'd have been done like a long time ago. But this is fun. Sometimes I like doing it the old-fashioned way. One thing, I was up in Ohio last weekend helping out Jason from the Real Fox Body Axe with his 88 GT. And we actually used that website for some wiring on his car because we found out that 86 through 89 Mustangs do not have the fuel pump monitor circuit on the ECUs. Now, that's not a huge deal when you run standalone or you run one of our plug and plays, but it is a big deal if you are using one of our plug and plays with the dual wideband, because we use that fuel pump monitor to power the secondary wideband controller that's in our box. So, luckily, in Ford's infinite wisdom of building these cars back then, the wiring was there. We just needed to pin to the factory ECU connector and then out to, I think it was like C203 or whatever. It's out in the engine bay. It's basically one of the dash harness connectors. We just had to pin to it and fix everything. We also fixed a lot of other little issues with this car while I was up there. Let me get rid of these. If you're not familiar with this company, this is HCR Innovations. Devin over there does wiring. A lot of big build cars. Great company. If you ever look for spare parts, I always recommend to hit up local shops, and he would be one I'd recommend. Excuse me while I have a drink. Okay. Okay. So this portion is done. So what we're going to do, we're going to pin these connectors now. And it's just one at a time. I'll tell you what, I'm going to make this a little easier on me. So, be right back. Gotta get a tool. This just makes pinning these a little bit easier for me. So, at the shop, we have a 3D printed holder that we can just clip into these. But this just lets me get in here. And like I said, it's not a big deal if these are all the same color, because eventually I'll test them out, make sure that none of these wires have breaks in them. I highly doubt it. Because technically these wires have never really been used. And this will let me get these pinned up. Pin 20 stops at this bottom left-hand corner. Yeah, OJ, you're more than welcome. Charm is a great website. It's a great resource. It's definitely underutilized. I think people need to know more about it. I've always been a big fan of it. If you've been doing this for a long time, you probably remember a website called FordCDs.com. That was back in the early 2000s. I think it was taken offline by Ford. I want to say sometime around 08 to 2010. And they offered up all the Ford EDDM manuals on DVD for free. You could just go online, pick the year you want, and download them. That was super handy. You can now go to like eBay. I think even LMR sells them now. There's a few people that sell USB sticks, but basically the same item. If you've never pinned one of these, there's a white locking tab right there. All you do is you push it down with your finger. Now it's locked, so these wires can't come out. And if you ever need to depin, you can typically just take your thumbnail, push on the bottom here, and then those detents pop back up. So, and for a quick test, 1, 2, 3. Uh-oh. Put the wrong connector on it. Uh-oh. These are J3, I think. I don't even know where these connectors came from. Bummer. I gotta depin this one. So I was trying to do these off camera so this way I didn't shake the camera all over the place. 2 steps forward, 15 steps back. I understand why I have a bunch of those, because I don't do any drive-by-wire stuff, or not a lot of it, so I'm not sure why I have a bunch of those. But it's good to know I have them. Okay. Alright, these are correct. Pop the locking tab. Did you say... I do have a website as well. Yeah, OG, let me know. Oh, here. I'm an idiot. I can just do this. Oops. And I can't even type. Can I edit that? Nope. But I can remove it. Charm. Oh, I. There we go. And for fun, I'm going to make sure. Yeah, there you go. Sweet. Okay, so now you have that website. Yeah, and if you ever want me on, hit me up. I'm good with it. Love talking cars. So I did one with Gary over at Castle Customs. That was great. That was my first podcast I've ever done. That was, not my own. If you don't know, Donnie B over at Anderson Ford and myself used to do one. Just schedule conflicts made it very tough for us to always get on and do it. So, but yeah, OG, I know you started one. It's actually on my list of things to download and listen to this week. By having this in this vice, it makes doing this so much easier. You are welcome, sir. Always happy to help someone out. I think you're probably the only lone survivor on here, so this is, like I said, this is kind of boring to most people, and I kind of get it, because it's just, isn't everybody's cup of tea. But, don't hurt to do it. Plus, it helps me do this more. I need to start doing more videos. I'm kind of bad about it. Okay. So all those are pinned. I like to give it a nice, I like to take it and just give it a nice little push. Because in theory, you should be able to push that down with your finger, but I must have one that's not 100%. So there's one of them. Where is it? you? Oh no, it's you. And there. Pinned, plugs in. Let's do this one quickly. So how long have you been doing, I think it's just you and I anyways, how long have you been doing podcasts? I think you said just fairly recent, but how many have you guys done? I actually enjoy automotive podcasts. Um, I don't know, I just always have something about them. Okay, yeah, so you're kind of into this stuff. You like wiring and electronics. I would say I am too, but I think people kind of probably understand that at this point since, it's kind of what we do. I need to get on Dan over at Neo Mustangs. I need to get on him and see if he's ever going to install that coil and plug setup we built him almost 2 years ago now. Get him off of that TFI. He really needs to get off of it anyways, just due to the fact for what he's doing. It's done him well, but it's time to step up to the next point. Oh wow, 16 episodes. So you're telling me I got a lot to listen to. That even makes it more exciting. I kind of felt weird doing Castle Customs, the shop beers, because I actually didn't know who he was. Um, and it sounds kind of bad because I'm not big in the community. Like I'm not well known, and I don't do a lot of events. So my view on who people are, or knowing who people are, I should say, is pretty limited. So, okay. Two of them somewhat done. Apologize for that. But I gotta drink something or I'm gonna die. It's been almost a year. The live stream on YouTube, podcast out. Okay. That makes it even more enjoyable in my opinion. I think stuff like that is the current thing, I should say. Um, I kind of wish. Which one is it? The 50 Asylum guys. They would do something like that. I like watching the live stuff. I really enjoy it. So, yeah. Yep. Then I figured that's why you did the lifestyle. Okay, so what I'm going to do is assign these pins out. So pins 1 through 6. We're going to call it the blue connector 1 through 6. Then 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So I'm going to go through pins 1 through 6 on the black connector. Okay. And then pins 13, 14, 15, 16 will go to the female 1 through 4 female can, and 17 through 20 will go through pins 1 through 4 to the male can. Okay. now that we know what we're going to do there, okay, product placement. Hate to do it. If you ever need a set of side cuts, straight flush cuts, these things are the bomb. They're my favorite ones. I probably always have at least 5 or 6 of these in the box, new at the shop for the guys, and I always keep a couple sets at home for when I need them. And I left a set in Ohio at Jason's, so I get to open up a brand new pair. But I like the feel of them. They're between 30 and $40, but man, they have a great feel to them. So what I'm going to do real quick is I'm going to cut these. I really hate cutting these off. I actually have a tool that's actually designed for this type of shop. It does a better job than flush cuts, but this will do because it's not that many. And typically I would leave them on this because they would feed through the machine. But since we're doing these the old-fashioned way today, I need to pop them off. And now I need 12, 24, so 2, 4, 6, 10, 3. Yeah, and this guy decided he didn't want to stay here. 4, 5. I appreciate you guys doing live streams and getting people's names out there. I think that's something that's kind of missing today. Our business market is interesting, right? Because we make a lot of plug and play stuff, and once people install it, they don't ever think about it again. I mean, why would they? They're not having to go back in and fix things or do this or do that. Everything just works. So, so now a lot of people out there just run our plug and plays and praising it. I mean, they do, but it's just not as common because they're out there enjoying their cars versus spending the whole weekend wiring the car up. So, just give me everything I need there. So what I want to do now is I want to grab 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. What got you into the work you're doing now? Are you talking about MF Customs in general? So what got me into that was, man, that's a great question. It's actually a funny one because, where is it? It should be sitting here. I just had it the other day because someone asked me this exact same question. And a lot of people don't realize I've been doing this for 20 plus years. So I'm going to show you something a little crude, old. Let's see, I'll put it right up here. Might look a little familiar, And this was so you could run dun 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 fast. This is now known as Fast Classic. But I originally designed, and I wasn't the only one. There was others out there that did this as well later on. But I would build these so you could go install a Flash Classic into a Fox body. And not just Fox bodies. I did this originally for a 4.6 that I owned, and when someone saw it, they're like, "I want one for a Fox body." I ended up making one for a Fox body, and I ended up making a handful of these. Like I said, I'm not the only one who made these, so there's multiple vendor versions of these out there. I don't know if you find them much anymore, but uh, I don't like, and so I made a plug and play for fast. Then, because of that, I've always made plug and play stuff, even for Megasquirt before Megasquirt had plug and plays. I was doing it for Megasquirt. And I enjoy doing it because I think sometimes that people think they need to replace all their wiring, or I don't want to say misguided, but they're not ready for that level yet. So spend the extra money, have something that just plugs right in. So this way, if you need to roll back, you can roll back with ease, or reverse the car back to something that's back to factory, so you don't have to worry about it when you sell the car. So that was kind of why I got into it. Was I wanted people to have an easy way of doing things and reverse it. So that is why I did get out of it for quite a while. And then when the Holly stuff started to get big, I've had a Holly Dominator in my car since 2012. When they came out with the Fox body kit, I had a gentleman with a Celine that wanted to put it in a Fox body Celine with like 13,000 miles on the car, and I said, this car's too nice to cut up. So I grabbed my old CAD files for the Fast Classic adapter and decided to build it. Oh boy, OG. You must not have watched the Castle Customs. I am not a Fox body guy. Don't leave. I'm not going to apologize for it, but I'm not a big Fox body guy. I'm actually an SN guy. I've been an SN guy most of my life. I prefer them, actually, over the Fox. But I don't, so that's why our motto is SN95 first. So any product we develop will be on the SN95 platform first. And then we will then go backwards. We will then make it for the Fox bodies. Because the SN95 is actually technically more complicated to do. So we typically just do SN95s first, and then work our way backwards. So what I'm doing now is I'm prepping heat shrink tube, because I'm going to put a sleeve over top of this eventually. But before I put the connectors on, I have to have at least the tube on here. So should make a little bit of sense to you there. So, and this isn't, we don't build these like to, I hate to say the word professional quality. We don't make them chintzy, but like I'm not going to bring this tail end whip, out and then have different sleevings per whip. I'm going to bring it down here, and then each connection will have, I don't know if I'm going to label them because it's really not needed because it's all color coordinated and they can only go in one way. But so now what I'm going to do is just slide this on to this one. Also, yeah, SNs are cool. I like the fact that Brutal's giving away a project car. I'm sure some people are probably not excited about that because I think he's made a couple of videos now kind of getting into that a little bit. But I think people need to understand, like, going through him fixing it all up, getting it prepped, and doing all that fun stuff. There's a lot of money that goes into that. And then just to give it away. I mean, I know Caleb does it. on some of his stuff. But I think the fact that he's got it running, it comes with all these parts, it's a good base system, it's definitely the way to go. Yeah, I agree. The SNs are going to be the ones that will probably explode in price fairly soon. It'll be interesting to see where they go. But yeah, so all right, so one, two. Sorry, I gotta count here. 3, 4, 5, 6. So what I like to do is pull these wires back, pull them out of the way for now. Pull the tips off and crimp these. So this is a universal crimper. Uh, it's all right. Works okay. I would like to do these more in solid barrel, but these really don't, because of what this is used for, it doesn't really qualify to have a solid barrel contact. I could do it if I just wanted to be like, hey, look, I did it. Um, but this still works really well. So, and all we're doing in the end is just making so we can make sure we test the harnesses before they go out. Like, it's one step. So technically, if you count, I got 3 connectors up here of each style, but yet I'm only building 2 harnesses. What I probably won't do on this video, because it's just, this is already going to be long enough. Um, Granted, it's live and it can take 4 hours for all I care. One of these will be used and we'll actually test all the way through the adapters. So we'll test this harness by itself, let it pass QA. We always make sure like it's got the CAN label. We didn't label these individual connectors because, you know, blue and black, I think people can figure that part out. This is your CAN. You know, we put a label on it for the year. And then what'll happen is, you know, when these get boxed into their appropriate boxes, you know, the whole system we plugged in, it'll get plugged in, and then we'll have another one that will actually plug in. I have dash connectors right over there. Just not going to reach for them right now. That we're going to terminate, and we can plug in, and we can validate that these are technically truly 87 to 89 and 90 to 93, even though they'll be tested in their own way. They'll be tested electronically. They'll be tested in different manners, and they'll have labels on them. But it'll be one of those final tests of, okay, we know this is, you know, exactly what it is. And we'll test it all the way through. And it'll also let us test the 12-volt charging circuit for the alternator. We'll be able to make sure that's working properly and that the resistor's there. So that's what the spare is for. What'd you say? What Brutal is doing is great. He's even giving away an engine with it. Yeah, that's what I get at. Like, anybody that's really complaining about what he's doing on that giveaway kind of really need to check on themselves, because you can't ask for much more. I mean, he's giving you everything to take the car home and get it going. I mean, he's already done the hard part. He's got it running. He's got it. He's done a lot. He's got a lot done to it. And now he's giving you an engine and stuff. So this way, when you take it home, if the engine's got a real problem, you have a spare. Like, that's amazing to me. I love that. So, okay. So, I'm sorry if I got the chat and it's kind of covering up right this little area where I'm working. So I want to try to move this stuff so this way I'm more in focus. So I'm sorry. You're probably like, what the hell is he doing? This dude is dumb. And you're not wrong. Okay. Let's get these pushed through. Push them through. Yeah. And there's other ways I can do this, and I can make this easier. You know, multicolored wire, blah, blah, blah. But in the end, it's test harnesses. Okay. So now, I come over here. This is number 1. And my silly sheet. Number 1 goes to pin 1 on blue. So okay, find pin 2, pin 2, pin 3, okay, pin 4, and I'll explain something here in a second, because you may have noticed, like, wait, I'm going to show you something on this connector. And last man out, 6. Okay, so that's pinned. So the way Deutsch and Amphenol work is pin 1 starts top left, 1, 2, 3, then you come across 4, 5, and 6. Some connectors go down and then start back at the top, go down, continuously. Some go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or they'll go in a row. Like these, for example. It starts at 1, works across. Amphenol goes down, across, then back up. So, okay. So that one's pinned. I'm not going to put locks in them right now to hold the terminals in place. This is the lock. It's just a wedge. It's literally what they call it, a wedge. Those will go in later after testing, continuity testing this out to make sure it's all right. Reason for that is I don't like pulling the wedges out because if I got to repin or if I pin something wrong, it's just easier to be able to take care of it this way. So this is number 7. Pull this back. And then I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'll pull all these back. Loop them through. Down. Pull the nubs. Back to crimping. This is also my kind of, I like wiring as well. This is kind of my meditation. I can sit and just do this and zone out for hours at a time. I need to get working on the 97, my red car. I want to start showing you guys how to take factory electronics and bring the car up into the 21st century. So, you're going to a Holly on your 90, I think is what you said earlier. Show you how to, if you do an SN95 spindle swap. I tell everybody that does SN95 spindle swap is always get ABS tone rings. You may not use them, but just get them. Because eventually, if you do a standalone, you should wire those into the ECU. Same with your transmission. So if you have a manual transmission, or wire the VSS up. If you have an automatic, hopefully if you're on a standalone, you're running an AODE 4R70W or whatever flavor of transmission you want. You should also have that in there, because if you have a front wheel speed sensor or 2, along with a transmission sensor, speed sensor, or rear wheel speed sensors off the tone ring, that gives you the ability to set your car up with traction control. And a lot of people are like, well, I don't want traction control. Well, why not have it for on the street when you're just driving around? Why not add safety features? I know we remove ABS. I know a lot of people do that stuff, but I'm more of a fan of why not have those things, but then have the ability to turn them off if you're at the track. I can't tell you how many times, having ABS or the tone rings in place at the track have been handy, because I can pull timing when I need to. Yes. if you want to get rid of those, you can. There is a way to do it. Um, you can either do traditional fuses. So get a, hold on, I actually have one here. Now this one's going to be bigger than you need, but you'll get the point of what I'm trying to prove here. Um, this is a kit that I buy, that I use. So you would cut your fuse links out, and you can install yourself. Now, I don't have any fuses within hand reach, but we'll just take relays, for example. And then you can put in your own fuses. But I also want you to think about this, because you're a Fox body guy. Because I just put a relay here, let's put one right here. And now we have our starter relay. Now we can wire up our starter to be like an SN95, where we're just running a relay and the power's already going to the transmission and the starter solenoid's getting triggered off of this. You can put this all up underneath of your fender apron and have traditional fuses and relays. This is what I usually do when I try to get rid of the fuse links. Now, they make a smaller version of this. This is, I think they call this a 48 way. This is the 48 way. What else? I think I have. So, like, this kit's a little different because, pop these out. I designed these for the SN95s, but we use them on Foxes too. But, you know, let's pretend like that's a fuse. That's actually a diode for AC. So you could fill this thing up with your fuse links, fuses for your fuse links, cut out your fuse links. So one side of your fuse link would come in, you know, fuse link side A, fuse link side B, traditional fuse. Now you got rid of your fuse link. This is the easy way of doing it. I actually like these. These work really well for small projects. If you want to get into a bigger project, then I would highly recommend going to a PDM, a programmable distribution model. And the benefit there is you don't have any relays or fuses at all anymore. It's all done through a programmable device, and you can control everything through it. And it can read Holly can or any can at that point. And you can set up safe modes, like my fan tried to turn on, but it overloaded the circuit. It's going to try 3 more times. If it doesn't work, set the check engine light off or turn the car off. I mean, the limitation, possibilities are limitless based on your imagination. So that's how I would do that if it was for me. So that would have been phase 1, like get rid of fuse links. Phase 2 would have been like a PDM. I'm doing a PDM on the red car. I'm actually going to be converting a lot of my cars over to PDM in the future, and I will do a video on how that process works. So pin 1. You made a couple comments. I will be running a 363 stroker with a TKX transmission. Yes, that's a great build. I run a 363 as well. I love my 363. Anybody doing 347s a day kind of just need to stop. It's time, it doesn't make sense to do a 347 these days. So, if a person has 400 plus horsepower on the street, traction controls would be yes. I think people just don't realize today what 400 horsepower on the street truly is. I always tell people for a street car, anything over 500, 550, you're just getting a little excessive. Because it's really hard to put down any more than that on the street and maintain it. So I'll probably get flamed for that, and that's okay. But that's my opinion on it. I will always hold that opinion. But then, I'm also the guy that I have cars that make that and more. And when people ask me what they run at the track, I tell them I hope for a 14.9 or better. Because I really just don't have a preference. I used to race, and eventually we'll get back into it again. Just not yet. I don't think the world's ready for me to get back into it. I say that sarcastically. I'm going to use one of those for sure. Where can I find them? So, OG, what I would recommend there is, because that's going to get really big. Are you talking about like the first version? I'm kind of pointing there, that fuse box I was pointing at. Are you talking about that, or are you talking about PDM? Because if you want to get rid of everything under the fuse box that's under the dash as well, that won't have enough positions. But you could definitely get away with doing a single PDM 28 by hardwire and just get rid of all the fuse panels completely. So, something to consider. Well, gotta put that away. Now it's going to trash because I'm not pulling that back out. Okay, so I'm kind of going to stop for now on this one because I have these done. And what I want to do now is pull this one over, get it to the same position. I'm going to use one of those for sure. Okay, same comment. 1, 2, 4. Flip it over, Danny. 1, 2. I knew there was something wrong. 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. Get these crimped up. Okay. Graduated high school in 1987 and had a brand new Mustang L.L.C. stock. Yeah. I laugh because I've been in a situation, even in the green SN, back in the day where I drove it in the rain and I had, this will give you a time frame, I still had my BF Goodwrench drag radials on it. So that'll help you the time frame of when this was. Was driving it home from work one day and it rained. I got caught in the rain. Rarely drove that car in the rain. And boy, did that rain on my butt. Wasn't messing off, wasn't screwing around or anything like that. Just I had a faceplated transmission in it, and when I went from first to second, it broke the tires loose a little bit, and because it was on drag radials that I probably should have replaced, but the season was just getting ready to start, and I was waiting for a new set to come in. She showed me who was boss. She wasn't scared to either. And that made me realize, no matter how much you think you're in control, you're not in control. If you think you're in control of the car, it's probably time to get off of it. That was something that was explained to me when I learned how to ride motorcycle. That once you have that feeling of you are fully in control of that motorcycle is the day you should get off of it because you're going to end up probably putting yourself around a tree. Good friend taught me that. He's passed away now, but great man, great mentor, taught me a lot of things about bikes. Definitely missed, for sure. But I carry that same motto over to cars. And OG, I hate to do this to you, buddy, but if you graduated high school in '87, just as an FYI, I was probably 3 years old at that point. So, not to make you feel old or anything, but yeah, I'm still what I consider wet behind the ears. And if people don't understand that reference on here, go Google it up, please. Okay. Pin 1. Okay. Pin 2. And I do agree with that last statement. A person is only as old as they feel. My father is a prime example of that because um, he is in his 70s, still works only because he would get too bored at sitting at home. Still builds cars. He's currently building a 71 AMC SC360, which, speaking of, I probably need to sit down and work on his harness. I need to get that done for him. Um, but yeah, he is still out there working, living life. Um, he's tried to retire a couple times now. And every time he does, the places call him back because the people that they've hired to replace him because he's retired, I hate to say it, aren't worth a damn. They don't show up and this and that. And they usually call him back to come back to work, and he usually never turns it down. Nice, 103. Just be sure that I understand correctly. The PDM would take the place of the fuse box and fuse. Yes, so a PDM would take the place of fuse boxes, relays, fuse links, everything. Go look up. Here, I'll type it in. Weak hardwire PDM 28. They are kind of costly. I'm just going to tell you that now. This company here, HCR Innovations, they are here in the U.S. Hardwire PDM 28. Let me rephrase that. Hardwire PDM 28. They are a UK company. They're out of the United Kingdom. Hardwire HCR Innovations here. They stock them here in the U.S. Devin is a great dude. If you're going to buy one, buy it from Devin. If Devin wasn't going to become a dealer for those, we were going to. But yeah, they replace everything. Fuses, relay links, fuse boxes, fuses, fuse links, everything. Everything will be built in that box. You can even run your electric fan off of that box. Power windows. You can run your power windows off of that box. Just think of it as everything in the car will then run through it. And then, like I was trying to explain to Jason when we were talking about it, because he's considering bringing his car down here and having us wire the whole thing. I was explaining to him, like, in the end, like all your like turn signal switches, your headlight switches, and all that, you don't really have power running through them anymore. They become just generic input switches into the PDM to do what you want to do, and you can program how quick your blinkers flash and stuff like that. Excuse me, I think I'm part camel. Anywho, let's see here. Your dad lived to be 103. Yeah, a lot of my family has lived to be close to 100. So yeah, I'm doomed with good genes, I think. Oh, got the 10. Pin 1. I thought I did. Okay. Let's get these 3 ran back through. Yeah, they are worth the money. So PDM 28 is definitely well worth the money. They are expensive. I think they start out at $2,000. I just bought one through HCR when they had their July 4th sale because I needed another one, and I got it for less due to the discount price. But regardless, even if it wasn't discounted price, I paid for them at full price, and I would do it again in a heartbeat. So it takes a little bit to get your mind wrapped around on how to wire one of those because like I said, like your headlight switch, all of a sudden, you know how you have power run through it. You're no longer running power through the headlight switch. You can, but you don't need to. You could just turn it into an input switch, and you're now telling the PDM, hey, I just turned my headlights on, and then the PDM will turn on the output and then supply power to the headlights direct from the PDM. So, when I start to do my PDM 28 install on the green car, I will probably do a bunch of live videos like this, showing the process of planning out all the switches and everything. So there will be a series on that. I'm just waiting for mine to come in because I ordered one for the green car from Devin. It's not the green car, the red car. So, okay, cool. So now I have these both in similar situations. So now, put that over here. Let me grab this. Okay, so the next 4 pins I need to grab. So it should be 13, 14, 15, and 16. Pull these through. OG, my name's Danny. But yeah, so my first name is Danny. Um, okay, so what did I say? Female can. Yeah, if everything is out of the car, yes. Now would be the time to do a PDM. It's going to be more wiring. I'm going to admit to that up front because you got to rethink about how you wire stuff. But you're going to bring the car up into what I call current world, current times, because you'll be able to program every input and output in that PDM through your laptop, and you can make it do whatever you want. So it's definitely the way to go, in my opinion. Okay, so let's see here. I don't know why I only got one out. I need 2. Sorry, my OCD has me always do this way, so this way I'm always not overthrowing stuff. I hate when I tape these. So if it was me and if the car was already apart, I would replace a lot of it and go new. Um, if it was me. I know that makes it feel like it's a daunting task, and I'm also feeling that daunting task because I'm getting ready to do the 97, which is my red car, and I want everything in that car to work the way it originally did when it came from the factory. The radio, um, door light switches, sun visor lights, lamps, everything. So it's going to take a lot of time for me to document how all that stuff works and how we'll lay it out. But I think in the end, it's going to be the way to go. Okay, so this is the female. So I'm going to do this one. Okay, so these little buggers suck. Just want to say that now. We have the machine to do this, and I'm going to show you the size here in a minute. I'll bring it up to the camera. But these ones are a bastard to pin. Just because of how small they are. I'm just getting all the pins out for everything I need. I hear some Discord beeps. Must be full-time tuner. So those go with those. And the ones I'm getting at now go with those. And we're getting to the point where once this part's done, I'm not going to sleeve them right now. I'm going to get out my voltmeter, do some validation tests, and then start coding. Okay. Keep these fairly close because I got a feeling I'm going to need them. Don't need you. Keep you here. I need one more tool. I kind of came up with a trick on doing these by hand. And it works almost every time. Ever think about making a P and a wiring harness kit for specific for Mustang? Yes. You're kind of getting into why I'm doing the 97 the way I'm doing it. Is for that actual reason right there. Because eventually I do want to make a product that allows people to basically convert their whole car up to a PDM system. That can just be plugged right in. I'm working with a company that's going to help produce a lot of the connectors that don't exist anymore, so we can make that happen. And I forgot to. Oh, yeah, I forgot. So here's this terminal. This is the CAN terminal for Holly CAN connectors. These guys. Now I want to grab. Here was the other terminals I was just doing a minute ago. To give you an idea of size, these little guys suck. I like to convert a lot of my CAN on Holly to a 4-pin of this. It makes life a lot easier. So this one here. So what I do with these, cut it just like so. I give that a little squeeze to hold it onto the jacket. And then I can then crimp it. And it's going to be, let's see if I can bring this up to the camera. And then that lets me get a nice crimp on it without using a machine. Would I prefer to do these in the machine? Yeah, because it's way quicker and easier. But we don't get that luxury today. Like I said, I forgot to cut these to the right size when it ran through the wire machine because I totally spaced on. I need to cut this side a little shorter. But nothing that can't be fixed with my nice little flush cuts. And that's the other problem. These things like to turn. Now, I will state you can find these connector packs on Amazon. Do not buy them on Amazon. We will have customers from time to time send us in their 3.5-inch greens for us to put a new connector on because they broke them, and they will always send us one of those connector packs off of Amazon, and they're pure crap. They look right, but they don't work worth a damn. So if you go to our website and you go to our blog post page, we give you all the main connections from the Holley's main harness, including the can. We give you all the part numbers. So you can go to companies like Mauser, DigiKey, Corsa Technic. There's a bunch of them. You can go to their websites and then order legitimate parts. And oddly enough, most of the times, buying the legit part through those places is usually almost the same price as ordering it through Amazon. The only thing you don't get is the fancy, usually same-day delivery, or 1 to 2 business days. But I mean, you buy it, it doesn't work because they're just junk, and then you spend more days waiting for your stuff to finally work because you finally decide to open your wallet and buy it properly. All right, so now, okay, because I'm pinning this stuff, I might as well kind of show you guys how this stuff works. So on these can connectors, you will see right there. Let's see, can I get, there you go. It looks like a little home or an up arrow. That's pin 1 on these. These have it as well. Right there. That's pin 1. So that's your orientation for these. So, quick look inside. Pin 1. Okay, pin 2. This is pin 3. And then pin 4. Okay. Same with these. This section right back here, this is the locking tab. Holley half the time forgets to lock this, and so if you ever run the harness, you may pull the wires out of here. So I'm not going to clamp this yet until after I'm done testing everything. So now, throw that there, grab this one. I don't need to pull these 4 wires through because it's the last 4. So I'm going to pull the nubs off one more time. Same process. Just give this a little squeeze so it holds it on there. So I can then flip this on, give it a nice squeeze. And then we'll have one harness done. And then I'll just need to do the other one real quick. And then we get to coding. well, soon. The coding part's really not, because the way this system's designed, or the way I designed it, it's actually fairly simple. Got any other questions there, OG, while I'm sitting here and trying not to pinch my fingers with these? Because you will know if I do it, because it hurts. And it hurts a lot. I'm checking my phone here in a minute. I felt a bunch of dings. Okay. Okay, so now, oh, dude, you can bug me as much as you want. It actually helps this time go a lot quicker. So ask all the questions you want. This is your time. So pin 1. Okay. Then it also helps me, if you ask questions, it lets me talk about stuff that might be pertinent to what I'm doing, may not be pertinent to what I'm doing. But instead of just people staring at my hands and wonder what the hell's this dude doing. And 4. Okay. So once I continuity test this, later I will put some tape on this just so it stays nice and bundled, throw the sleeving on it, and heat shrink this down. But in the end, it's going to look something like that. Just a small whip. Okay, there's one. Good deal. I think if I remember, it's this one. 4. Yeah. These 4. If I broke some of the connectors on the wiring harness, could you replace them with a different style? Can you be specific on what connectors you're talking about? Because the answer to that typically is yes, if it's a mating connector. So like how these can plug into these, yes. If it's dash connector, then the answer to that typically is no. The reason being is because there's no mate. I had to make a mating connector. But you're going Pro Dash, so obviously you're not going to worry about that part as much. We've taken care of that for you. If you're looking for a place to buy connectors, and you don't want to deal with trying to figure out what mates to what, Corsa Technic, and as soon as I get done crimping these 4 wires, I will post a link in the chat here. Oh, Shop Boss is here. Puppy dog. What you doing, Minnie? Oh, yeah. Okay. I'll post a link to Corsa Technic. They are a big reseller of connectors, and they'll actually usually post a link to the mating connector on their website. And if they have it, you can just buy both directly through them. Sarah over there does a lot of their parts orders and sales, and she's amazing to work with. She's actually the one that is helping us get back into stock is our 3-wire uh, Explorer camsync sensor connector. Ford discontinued it. Technically, the vendor discontinued it, but with Ford's blessing, and kind of left us up the creek without a pedal. And yeah, so we, with some research, we found one that was an aftermarket one that worked really well. And she went, because they sold a ton of them as well, ordered a bunch of samples, and we tested, they tested, we all felt like it was good, and we may be bringing one product back that we had to discontinue. Okay. Yeah, so 1 second, I'm almost, I'll get these terminated. So, pin 1. And I may end up having to cut this one short, this video. I may just pause where I'm at. I may come back on later to finish this up, as it's about dinner time. And I'm hungry. This boy needs to eat. But if I do, I will come back after I'm done eating and finish this. So I don't think you guys want me to just pause this. So pin 4. Cool. Okay. All 4. Okay. And you want this, which is of course technic.com. Yeah. I'm not sure what we're doing for dinner. I haven't talked to Erica about that yet. I think we're probably just doing leftover pizza. We made homemade pizzas on Friday, so probably something as simple as that. But yeah, I'll probably go do that, take a break, and then I will kick this back off as a part 2, probably later today. Try to do it before Dan over at Neo Mustangs comes online, does a live stream. I just want to finish this one up. And yeah, I can come back, and then at that point it'll just be coding. But I did post a link in the chat to Corsa Technic. It is a great connector site. I buy a lot of stuff when I need singles. So I just need a single connector with maybe the terminals and seals. Granted, I could buy them through someone else, like Mauser, because or DigiKey or TTI or any of those big places. But I usually just order through Corsa Technic because I can just buy it as a kit. It costs a smidge more. But again, it goes back to me. I like helping small businesses out, and I would rather give them the money for one-off project stuff. That's my personal belief. I don't expect people to follow it. And yeah. Okay, I can celebrate. I did not get my finger once doing those. That's exciting times. Okay, so this should be pin 1. There's the house. Gotta look inside, validate, and it gets plugged in like this. this. Where do you get plugged in like that? Yeah. There we go. Pin 1. Pin 2. 3. Pin 4. Okay. That is a fully built test whip. So we will grab, without falling over, make sure I'm not missing anything. Okay. So, if you remember earlier, I hand wrote down on a sheet of paper what this should look like. So what I'm going to do is grab a couple test leads, Deutsch DTM pins fit really well on those. So bad boy, lighten him up here. Oh, red on black, that's bad. Even though this doesn't matter. Someone would yell at me. Okay. Pin 1 is here. Pin 1 went to blue. And what I'm doing is I'm just making sure that I followed my own instructions, that I have pinned this correctly. Did I go too far? I did. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I was in pin 7. 6. So pin 7 comes over here to pin 1. 8. All this so we can make a dash harness, which technically the harnesses are already in production. Okay, so pin 1. Helps put in the right hole. Sure, there's a joke in there somewhere. All right, that one is pinned properly. So same procedure. And this one. Yeah, it is a process. I will not deny that, but I take pride in what we do, and I like to make sure we can put out a quality product. So if that means I got to spend twice as long building test equipment to make sure that everything can go through the system, fully tested, compliant, and then if someone ever calls in because they have an issue with the harness, did I put that in the wrong position? And then let's go back here. 1, 2, 3. I have nothing. Oh, wait a minute. What is going on here? 1, 1, 2, 3. Okay, I was just testing the wrong pin. 4. 4. Why am I still in 4? 1, 2, 4, 5. That's what happens when you do stuff live. 6, 7, 8. I moved it, but I could have put it back in the center. Nope, I moved it. 9, 10. Okay. And 1. The little house. 2, 3. Yeah, if I can put it in the right spot. Final. That's it. So that is 2 complete test whips that are ready to be fully assembled. I need a pair of needle nose. So this and this, hang them back up. Yeah, the process is kind of cool. It's not overly complicated if you notice. This isn't really I don't want to call it rocket science, but I'm going to. It's not rocket science. So we'll just put this down in here. And these are the locks I talked about earlier. And I'm short a couple locks, so I will have to fix that later. But it's not going to stop me from being able to test this stuff. So let me get a pair of channel locks. I'm going to show you how to lock the lock tabs on the can. Okay. Yes, it is time consuming. So, like I talked about, we have a locking tab on the bottom side of these. So what I typically do is I take a pair of channel locks like this. Click. Flip it over. Open it up just a smidge more. So every product that we've ever made um, is handmade. Now we do have machines that have, vice. They're what's the best way to explain it? They look like a hydraulic press, but then it has a what's called an applicator on the inside that does all of the terminations that I just did. Um, Still handmade. Um, so we have a machine that does the wire cutting, similar to the one that we have here. This one's a smaller version, which cut all the wire like how I did it. It nubs all the ends, or tabs them, or whatever you consider it, so they easily pop off. Um, the nice thing about applicators, some of the applicators for the terminals will actually do the wire nub cut and everything all in one application. Not all of them do, but most of ours do. And those applicators can cost anywhere between $2,000 to 10 grand per applicator, per terminal type. So let that sink in on cost of doing business. And this is my OC. I like having my desk clean. So some copper got thrown around. Okay. And yeah, so this is where I think I'm going to pause for now. I will be back later. But that's 2 test whips. The only thing that really needs done is a sleeve on both ends, and then heat shrink it. I'll probably do a little tape to twist these up a little bit, just to keep it nice and tight and taut. But yeah, it'll look something like that on the end. And then, yeah, the next piece will be coating. So if I come back, say in about an hour, just leave a comment, and I'll probably be back in about an hour to finish this up. Coating part will probably take an hour, if that. I just want to say an hour just to be safe. But if you're interested in that part, let me know, and I'll come back and do it. Otherwise, I'll just record it and then upload it later. I know this is a little laggy, so I'm going to give it a minute and see what you say. But yeah, I mean, okay. Thanks, OG. I'm going to stop it here, and I will chat with you all later.